Hi everyone, I hope you're doing super well. So here we are again. It was only about 2 weeks ago when I did my last living room rearrangement, but it turns out I messed up. And how did I mess up? Well, I didn't take into account the fact that the sun was still kind of beaming in through the western facing windows, so we're gonna have to switch things around. So let's get started. And so begins the process yet again, and it always stresses me out because the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out exactly which plants are going to go where, and go from there. So I want to show you guys first, before I move it out of the way, this is my Philodendron patriciae, which is my favorite plant. I've had this thing for 2 years now, and it has starting to grow a brand new big leaf. These leaves are so beautiful. I absolutely love them. And what's cool is that it's actually growing flowers. Usually takes about 10 to 15 years for a philodendron to flower, but within 2 years, somehow I was able to start to get the process done. Whether or not it'll flower is something that we'll find out in the future. So I'm going to move this out of the way because this will just get in the way of all of our moving that we have to do. And this is so stressful. And the reason why I've been needing to do this, even though 2 weeks ago was the last video where I started to move these plants around. I've been house sitting, so I haven't been home for the last week, and this week, upcoming week, I will be house sitting still. So I haven't been around my plants as much, which kind of like makes me nervous. And yeah, when I came, and I've been checking in on them every single day, but when I came back, I'm like, oh yeah, they're getting a little bit too much direct sunlight. So we're going to change that. We're going to make everything good again, and all will be well in the world. So I'm just going to start moving some of this stuff around. And I got to say, for those of you who have large plant collections as well, you probably know about the stresses that are associated with this kind of structure. So while I move this around, one thing that I also need to do is I need to repot my Philodendron mamii, because the Philodendron mamii has outgrown its pot yet again. So I'm going to start moving some of this stuff around while we watch and see the repotting of that. So one thing I really need to get done is I need to repot this Philodendron mamii once again. This thing has been growing like crazy, but it's been struggling to produce any new leaves because it's running out of space. And you can see its roots are already coming out of the bottom. This plant I've had for about, a year and a half, 2 years, around that time length. And it is an absolutely beautiful plant called the silver cloud, obviously, because it has that silver veinage in its foliage, little splashes of silver. This plant is native to Ecuador, and it is a crawling philodendron, meaning that unlike most of our philodendron, even like the heartleaf ones that we have in our homes that you get at the grocery store or local plant shops, those ones are climbing philodendrons. So in the wild, they would climb up the side of the trees to get to the high part of the canopy to try and get the most sunlight that it can possibly get. Whereas this guy here is a crawler, so it crawls along the forest floor and gets dappled light. It likes bright indirect light, about 80%, never direct light where the light would actually touch its leaves, because that would be catastrophic and it would probably burn its leaves. Not that it probably would, it would. So what I'm going to do is hopefully this can be an easy repot. And so because it is a crawling philodendron, you'll notice that it's in a very long pot, a rectangular pot. And that's just to replicate the fact that that's what it would want out in nature, is to just crawl along. And yeah, so I had to get a longer one. This one's probably another 6 or 8 inches longer than the one that it's currently in. I picked it up at Home Depot. It was only like $8, I believe, $8 to $10. It's not bad. It's plastic, but so is this one. It is hard to find these in like terracotta, which I really love using for philodendron, because terracotta is so great, whereas compared to plastic, when you water a plant that's in terracotta, that terracotta is more likely going to dry up that soil faster. So it's not like the plant will be sitting in moisture for a long time, because what happens when they sit in moisture for a long time, they can deal with root rot, and that's the #1 cause of the death of our houseplants is when we overwater them. So it's very important to make sure that you research every single species of plant that you get so you know what its needs are. Now, since I live in an apartment in a loft in downtown Denver, I don't have a yard. I don't have a patio, so I have to do all my potting inside. So what I use are these little potting sheets. I got this one off of Amazon. You can find them on there for like $6 to $8. They're really convenient. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to loosen up this soil, which I'll reuse a lot of this soil because it's not like it's old soil. I just repotted this thing, I kid you not, like, gosh, I think it was just a couple months back, but already it's grown out of control. So there is, oh gosh, let's see. There is an issue right around here with one of the roots that had crawled out of the plastic pot's base, and it's coming out through a little hole. And I don't want to, I know that if we lose it, we're going to be fine. This plant has plenty of roots, as you can see, but I also like to be able to get that in there without causing any issues. So I'm glad that I have this little, I was about to say a little knife with me. It's a big knife. Let's see here. I'm just going to try to cut along the side of it. This happened when I was repotting one of my Philodendron gloriosums, and that's a crawling philodendron as well. Its roots kind of came through the same exact little spot, causing me a big headache. And hopefully, let's see, is that going to do it? Maybe, maybe not. You know what's really nice about this plant too is that if you're looking for like a unique house plant that'll really get people's attention, oh no, the roots snapped off. Oh, you know what? An A for effort. But as I was saying, what is nice about this plant is that if you're looking for like a unique, rare sort of plant that you really want to like wow your guests when they're over, this is a really good one to get because it's really easy to care for. It's such an easy to care for plant. Basically, you just water it. I've been watering mine like once a week during the summer. Right now, I've been trying to do it a little bit more just because, you know, with the sun coming in and drying up its soil more, it just makes it easier. But this plant does not like a dry out period in between like some philodendron do. It prefers kind of to stay moist, but not like where it's like soaking in the water because, of course, then what do we deal with? Like we said, it's root rot. So I'm not going to break up all the soil. I just wanted to get enough space where I know I can loosen up the roots to have it crawl more inside this new pot here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and quickly wash off the leaves, and I'll be right back. All right, the Mamie's leaves have been cleaned off. I just like doing that just because it's just nice to get them. In case there's any like dust or anything on them, helps kind of wipe it away. But I really wanted to show you guys because I was explaining about kind of this being a crawling philodendron, and just to give you a closer look at its rhizome, which is the crawling part of it, you can see on this plant just kind of like how it crawls around along the ground right there. See how the rhizome's just kind of going right there? And so its roots just kind of come out everywhere. I got some on my floor, but I'll sweep that up afterwards. That's fine. I'm just going to loosen up its soil just a little bit more, and then we'll start the repotting process, which is fairly simple. And I have a bunch of soil mixture that's perfect for this philodendron. I like to use a chunky aeroid soil mix. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with what that means, aeroid Araceae is the family that philodendron fall under. So philodendron would be the genus, and then this species would be Mamii, and the family would be Araceae. So that is what we are talking about here. And yeah, so now that I have this, I'm gonna sit that down there. Move that soil in a little over here because we're going to reuse some of it. And so I'll put this here. And then I noticed I also put some pon in here too. I didn't realize that. That might have been my like first time using pon. And pon's like a growing medium. It's actually really good for like alocasias. So yes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start putting this in here like so. because like I said, I'm reusing some of the soil, probably all of it, because it's good soil. I mean, I literally repotted this plant just a couple months back, like I was saying, and being able to reuse this soil since it's fresh and good, the plant will likely be able to just kind of acclimate easier to it since it's used to it. And so in this chunky aeroid soil mix is soil, perlite, we have some orchid bark, some cocoa coir nuggets, some, whoop, don't fall over, some activated charcoal, and worm castings, because it's good nutrients for the plant. So I'm just going to add some of this in there, and I want to mix it together just so it's all blended in, like so. And as is tradition, like I normally like to do when I'm repotting any plant, is I like to use some rooting hormone powder, because it makes it easier for a plant to, like, if you sprinkle it on its roots, the rooting hormone powder allows it to acclimate easier to new soil, and when you're potting it up. So just to be on the safe side, because I love my plants and I want them to be safe. And I had such a struggle when I first got this plant. I actually remember I almost gave up on it right away because I felt like there was a bad omen. So what happened was I had it on the side of my bed. This is literally the first day that I had it, and it only had 3 leaves on it. And so I put it on the side of my bed, and I threw a pillow off on accident, and it hits the plant, and it breaks off like its largest leaf, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. But boy, oh boy, did this plant bounce back. Not only did it bounce back, but I took cuttings of it and created separate plants as well. And this plant, once I started, this is the mother end of the plant, and I think it only had like 1 or 2 leaves on it. And then as soon as I cut it and turned it into a separate plant and then repotted it, all of a sudden, all of these other beautiful leaves just started pouring out of this thing. So really healthy plant. Okay, so now we're going to take our roots and we're going to gently put it in there like so. I'm going to try to put it up against the back as far as I can. And so now I have about like 6 to 7, 8 inches in front of me where this plant can continue to crawl. It ran out of space there, so I'm glad that we're doing this now. Now, if you are familiar with these kinds of philodendron, these crawling philodendron, you'll likely also know that there is a plant called the philodendron plowmanii, and the plowmanii looks very similar to this plant. And so a lot of times people get it confused. In fact, I was one of those people, and it took me a while until people were able to correct me and be like, hey, this is actually not a plowmanii, it's a mamii. They look so similar, but the difference is size. The plowmanii grows a little bit larger, about 3 to 5 feet in size compared to the mamii. But I don't know, I like this one more because another big difference is the fact that this one has the silver on its leaves, and I love that. It's so pretty. And what you want to do, by the way, when you are potting up one of these crawling philodendron, is you want to make sure that you don't bury the rhizome. The rhizome being this stem right here that's crawling around the ground, along the ground. And why that is because it'll continue to shoot out new leaves and continue to grow and move along this ground floor. And if it's buried, it has a tough time doing that. And I didn't realize that at first when I first got this plant and I had it buried. And granted, I did end up accidentally, like I said, snapping one of its leaves off on accident. But even with that, this thing just wasn't growing at all until I made some changes and adjusted that. And then it started growing beautifully, like really fast too. So I'm just covering up its roots that we had placed in there. And then I'm just trying to give it some space where rhizome can continue to grow along the floor. Then I'll add some more soil to like this area, just so it has more room to climb in. And there, I shouldn't say climb, crawl is what I meant to say, silly me. Okay, so we have successfully repotted this plant, And now I'm going to water it and then put it off to the side as we continue on our mission today. First, we're gonna pull. I don't want to hit this Sansevieria moonlight over here. There we go. Now you'll be all safe. Okay. Move this couch out of the way so I can get back there a little bit more. And this will give me an opportunity also to get in there and also water some of those birds of paradise and shift them around just a wee bit. Okay. Apparently, what I need is more space. This is 900 square feet, my apartment here. And so you'll notice that when you saw the wide shot of my living room, there weren't a lot of plants in the living room. That's because I had to put them all, I kid you not, in my kitchen and my bedroom right now while I do this, just so I have space to move around. So both of those areas are a mess, but if you are a plant parent, then you know the stresses that come along with being a plant parent and having too many plants in small spaces. So we've got this though. All right, beautiful plant out of the way. This, by the way, is a cutting from my philodendron Dean McDowell, and as you can see, it's already got a brand new leaf that's coming out of there, so that's going to be a beauty. I'm going to put this over here, and that way you can shift things around just a little bit. The problem is with like a plant like this, the philodendron maximum, you can see its leaves just kind of go down like this. And so I need to find a spot where I can just kind of set this. Oh, right there. How lovely. Ask and you shall receive, so they say. Okay, I'll put that there in the interim for the time being. And boy, oh boy, I'm going to move this golden goddess out of the way. Philodendron golden goddess. As you can see, this is one of the reasons why I need to shift the plants around, because this plant has received too much sun, and you can see that by its leaves wilting. So I should have been giving it medium to bright indirect light, but no direct light. So that's my bad. Yeah. One thing I just realized is that the philodendron cuttings that I have up there, the golden goddess, need some watering too. I just potted these up like last week, so I'm going to do that really quickly here before we continue on with our mission, which is a mission impossible. And again, my apologies for the messiness of my apartment right now. But like I said, if you're a plant parent and you have a lot of plants, then you know the struggle and that it's real. So we're going to water these. Okay, now that those are watered, my current thought process is since the sun is coming in too far and too deep and too strong in from the western windows here, is to move the couch like up against here, move the crates over this way with like the birds of paradise behind them to help block out some of that sunlight, that harsh sunlight. And I think that'll help out quite a bit. During the pandemic, I took an online plant design course, and one of the things they always say is to start with the largest plants in the back and then make your way forward, which makes sense. But at the time, to me, I didn't realize. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this beautiful lime green ZZ plant out of the way. I'll put it here in the corner. And, oh gosh, let me think. Thinking hurts. All right. Okay. This is going to move out of the way too. You know, the thing is that the nice thing about birds of paradise being so large is that they have those big leaves that kind of block out other things. So I use those to block out the sunlight that's coming in and kind of make it a little bit more dappled for the plants that just need bright indirect light. Way better for them. And birds of paradise can withstand more of those harsher sunlight. They love them some sunlight. So I'm thinking, and I'm going to hurt my brain by thinking. Okay, we're gonna shift this baby this way, like so. Okie dokie. And I think this little fan down here, which I have for like air circulation. I have little fans hidden all over my apartment, and that's to help with the air circulation because if you keep the humidity high, like I try to do, like around 55, 60%, you need good airflow. So I have these like hidden everywhere. And then I also have air purifiers and some other fans as well as my central air. So that helps out quite a bit. Okay, this guy is going to move over hither, like so. I think, yeah, maybe, no, I don't know. I will literally have to back up and like shift these around a million times because that's just how I am. I just need to see how it's going to look first without getting too much of that in the way. This is so beautiful, this philodendron, the cutting that my buddy Pedro gave me. And look at those leaves. It's really beautiful. And I just potted it up after the cutting grew roots. And so I'm really excited for it to start to unfurl there. So it's stunning. And the back of it has like beautiful like red veinage. Oh, stunning. I'm going to put you over here for now, little plant. You cute little plant. Okay. And then my original Alocasia Frydek is starting to grow a new leaf, which is good. But it's my fault because I wasn't giving it enough bright light. And they like bright indirect light. They also like high humidity, and they don't like their soil to go dry. Oh, this little Philodendron gloriosum cutting. This one has two new leaves growing out of it right there. I do need to give it some water, so I'll be right back. That plant has been watered. This is my little Anthurium crystallinum, and it's doing so well. It started off with like two little small leaves like this. One of them fell off. This one's a little crispy, but I repotted it, and it shot out this leaf, and then this big leaf, and it's got a new one coming in. So that one's doing well. By the way, I'm sure you saw in the title, this is going to be a two-part series because being a house sitter, I need to go back to the house I'm watching after and make sure everything's fine there. So this is going to be part one, but we will get to part two once I'm able to move some of this stuff around. So if you're wondering why I'm not able to finish this all in one video, it's because it's a lot of work. The last time that we moved this around just 2 weeks ago, it took me 2.5, 3 days. And so, yeah, a lot of fun. Okay. Actually, I kind of like that there. That'd be fine, I think. Yeah. And then we can put some boxes around there, some crates. Okay. I've got an idea. But I think what we're going to have to do is probably going to have to leave it there for right now. But I'll be back in the morning to continue on with this and continue to film. And then you guys will have to check out part two, which will come up soon right after this one. So thanks for joining me on this journey because it's stressful, but you know what? You guys make it so much better. And I appreciate you guys watching my videos. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up, like it, and also subscribe to my channel to get more good planty content. There we go. See, this is what happens when I just got too much going on in my life. I'll see you guys in part two.